Good morning, students. Welcome back to English online classes. Today is the day 14 session. In the day 13 session, I have explained you about the lesson that is a gift of chapels. That is, we are still in the first part, children. I have stopped up to this cat is a descendant of none other than the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat. And if I may just remind you, they worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. So up to that I have stopped. Today I'll just will read the rest of the lesson, children. Keep the books in front of you, all of you. How he loved the sound of his own voice. Meena and Mridu exclaimed, "Looks, what does that have to do with anything?" Mridu demanded. I'm telling you, this cat is descended from the Egyptian cat god. No, goddess. Bastet. Yeah, that's it. See here this boy, it just says that that this cat is a descendant from the Egyptian cat is the one. This cat has been a descendant from the Egyptian cat, and from that Egyptian cat from the Pallavas, that is another cat, he said. So it is a descendant, not an ordinary cat, it is a descendant from the Egyptian cat, he said. So it is not a god, but it is a goddess, he said. So when one of the descendants of that cat goddess was a stowaway in one of the Pallava ships, and his descendant was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant is Ravi flourished his twig at Mahendran. MP Pune here, oop, eek, he shrieked, very pleased with himself. So what does he mean means, how this cat, we can say it is a descendant means, it is a cat goddess has been, it hid in the Pallava ships and came to Mahabalipuram, and there that cat became a Rishi cat, and from that Rishi cat, this Mahendra has come, he says. So he says that Mahendra is not an ordinary cat. It is a descendant from Rishi cat, which came from the Pallava. It was hiding in a ship and came to Mahabalipuram, and it became a Rishi cat. And that Rishi cat descendant is none other than the Mahendran, he says. MP Pune here. Oop, eek, he shrieked, very pleased with himself. Mahendran looked up, alarmed. He had just been sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell. So I said in the last session that a coconut shell was kept in front of the cat and some milk was poured in it. So what did the cat do? The cat got a little bit alarmed. He had just been sharpening, he was just sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell. He was sharpening his claws at the edge of the coconut shell. But worse than Ravi's awful oop, eek was a screech. When the cat was just sharpening his claws at the edge of the coconut shell, when it heard Ravi's shriek, when Ravi spoken very loudly, when he was making a very loud noise, what happened? Ravi's awful oop, eek was a screech from the window. What a weird sound if Mridu was startled. So when the cat was sharpening its claws on the edge of the coconut shell, what happened? But worse than Ravi's awful oop, eek was a screech. So there was a sudden eek and screech sound came from the window. A sudden eek and screech sound, it was not a very good sound. It was a sound that was very dirty than Ravi's sound actually. It came from the window. It was eek and screech sound from the window. What a weird sound, strange and unusual. So a strange and unusual sound came from the window. That was really not good. It was not that much good than Ravi's sound. Ravi made a very loud sound, no? That sound was not that much that sound was not that much good than Ravi's sound. If Mridu was startled, MP Pune was frightened out of his wits. Hair standing on end. So even the cat got scared of that sound came from the window. So it stood on its legs. He bounced up and scurried towards a bamboo tray of red chilies that had been set out to dry. So when the cat heard that weird sound, it got scared, and what did it do? It bounced on the chilies which were kept for drying. We keep chilies we keep chilies outside, no, to get it dry. So what it did, the cat suddenly went and bounced on the chilies. Trying to hide beneath it, he tipped a few chilies over himself. Meow, he howled miserably. So what it did, because of that horrible sound, it got scared and went and bounced on the chilies which were kept for drying. So it went to hide under the chilies, but one or two chilies came and tipped on his face. Then what happened? He just made some sound. What sound it made? Meow. It made meow. He howled miserably because of that hot chilies, no? So he just made a sound. The creaking went on and on. What's that noise? Said Mridu. So that sound did not stop. What sound, children? That creaking sound. That creaking sound did not stop. It went on and on. So Mridu said, what is that horrible sound? That creaking sound? That's Lali learning to play the violin, grunted Ravi. Do you know what is it? A horrible sound. It is coming from the window. That is nothing. That is Lali. Lali is playing the violin. Lali is playing the violin. That is the horrible sound that is coming from the window. She will never learn a thing. The music master just goes on playing like a train, whizzing on and on, while Lali is all the time derailing, going completely off the track. See, the master is a very good person. He'll be going on teaching her very nicely, but she will not learn a thing. She will not learn a thing. You all know about derailing means the train will be going very nicely on the track, children. Suddenly, if the track it has gone in other direction, what happens? It derails. So the master tries to teach her very well, but she cannot grasp it properly, and she is not at all interested in her music lessons. Mridu kept, now I am reading the second part, children. Mridu crept up to the window. Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. So Mridu, what did she? She had a doubt. Who is it? Who is making that creaking sound very horribly? So what she did? She just crept up the window and saw who is the one who is making that much horrible sound. So Lali, what she was doing? Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin. You can see in the picture, children. Lali is playing the violin. Her elbows jutting out, her eyes glazed with concentration. She is holding it properly and she's a little bit concentratively sitting there. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. So, opposite to her, who was sitting, children? A master was sitting. He was a bony figure, means he was very lean. All the bones those are very lean, you can just see the bones in them. So the bones came up. He had a mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. So what he was wearing, he was having a bald head. Bald head means a head, those who don't have they will have a bald head. And what he was having, a fringe oiled black hair. He had a fringe black hair. He had a gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck. So what he was having? He was having the gold chain around his neck, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand, and it glided up and down the stem of the violin. So what he was wearing? He was wearing a diamond ring. When he used to play the violin, the diamond ring goes up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold bordered veshti edge. See, veshti means what, children? In Tamil, we say dhoti in Telugu, but in Tamil they say veshti. You all know about veshti, no? Dhoti, the old people will be wearing dhoti. In Tamil they say it is veshti. So, a large foot stuck out from beneath his gold bordered veshti edge. So he was wearing a dhoti that had a gold bordered, there had a gold bordered edge. and he was beating time on the floor with a spanny big toe. So while he was teaching her, he was just beating his toe on the floor. He played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along. As Ravi said, see, the master was teaching in a very beautiful way, but she was unable to grasp it in that manner. So, when he was heading out the music, Lali stumbled behind him on her violin. So, she was unable to grasp it. So, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. So, when he was teaching, she was unable to grasp with his master. He was teaching in a beautiful way, but she was unable to grasp it. It looked very awkward in her hands, I think so. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. So, he was teaching in a better way, very good way, but she was unable to grasp it. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along. So, his notes means his teaching was very good. You can see the train which is going on the track in a very beautifully and a smooth way. So, his lines of, his notes were that much. His notes were that much very good, but she was not in a very good way to learn. As Ravi said, Mridu stared at that huge balanced hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. Baranged means the music master is wearing a ring. See, Mridu stared at that huge baranged hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. So, he was just playing with the violin. He was making a lovely music. Squawk! There was Lily's derailing again. So, when he was just playing the violin in a very beautiful way, but when in the other way Lali was playing also, that was not good. It was derailing, I said. Amma came a wail from the gate. Amma, oh. So when they were watching all this from the window, what happened? Somebody was calling outside. Somebody was calling. What they were calling, children? Amma. Came a wail from the gate. From outside the gate, somebody was calling Amma. Oh. Ravi sent that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda when she was chatting with Tapi. So, what happened? His mother cried, oh Ravi, please send that beggar away. Why? Because she was very busy talking with Tapi. Tapi means Mridu's grandmother. I told in the beginning, no? So, his mother was talking to Tapi, very busily she was talking. So, she asked Ravi to send that beggar away. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it's time he found another house to beg from. Party explained to Tapi. So what happened? He has been coming, that beggar has been coming from, he's been coming from every day. From past week he's coming every day and begging. So, and it's time he found another house to beg from. So it is time, if he send that fellow out, he will go to other house and beg. So who told like that? Party. Party means grandmother. Grandmother told to Tapi. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. So when his grandmother said like both Mridu and Meena, they both followed Ravi. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk. So when they went near the gate, what happened? The beggar did not go away. He was sitting under the neem tree. He just spread the cloth in front of him and he just leaned to the tree. Apparently prepared to take a little snooze. Snooze means short sleep. So what he did, when these three people went there, they saw that the beggar was not going away. He was just settled there under the tree. He put he spread his upper cloth under the neem tree. He just put his upper cloth. He'll be having some cloth now. He just put it down and just leaned to the trunk of the tree, and he was just having a small sleep. While he waited for the arms to appear, go away, said Ravi sternly. So when Ravi went there, he said, hey, why are you sitting here? Go away. He said very sharply, my party says it's time you found another house to beg from. You know, my party means my grandmother is telling you, please don't come here and beg. You just find out another house. You just find out another house for begging. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. So when he said, you just go away. My grandmother said, you please go and find another house. You did not beg here. That time the beggar opened his eyes and said, the people those who are in this house are very kind souls. They are very kind-hearted persons. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. See, the people those who are residing in this house, they are very good people. They have very kind hearts. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. So for the whole week I came here to beg. I know these people are very kind. I kept my body and soul in them. I know they are very kind people. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. For 1 week I am coming here. I know that the people, those who live in this house are very kind people. They have very great soul they have. So from 1 week I am coming here, I never thought that they will ask me to go away. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. I never thought that they will ask me to go away. I thought they were very kind-hearted and generous people. He raised his voice, Amma, Amma, oh. So after telling this, what he said, what the beggar said? The beggar said, Amma, Amma. He was shouting loudly. Sad his wail might be, but it certainly was not feeble. Means it was everybody can hear, because he was not telling in a very low voice. He was shouting loudly, Amma, Amma. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in the withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with his few remaining teeth stained brown with beetle chewing. So his teeth were a little bit brown because he used to eat beetle leaves. Beetle means you all know. Beetle leaves, those who eat beetle leaves, their teeth will become brown, children. So he was little bit, his belly was, when it went inside, even then he was very lean also. He just screamed very loudly. It came from his belly. The sound came from his belly. He just screamed loudly, Amma, Amma. He showed his teeth and he screamed. Ravi, tell him there's nothing left in the kitchen called Rukumani, and he is not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. So what did Rukumani? Rukumani means Ravi's mother. Rukumani means Ravi's mother. Ravi's mother told, you tell that beggar to go away. There's nothing left in the kitchen. We don't have nothing in the kitchen left to give him. So ask him to go away. She sounded fed up. She really got fed up because every day, the whole week, the beggar was coming there and just he was screaming, Amma, Amma. He was begging for food. But today she really got fed up because every day he didn't leave his house. So he asked him to go for the other house to beg. So Ravi did not have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. There under the neem tree, the beggar sat up and sighed. So when his mother just shouted from her room, it was not a very small voice. Everybody could hear. Even the beggar also heard what she said. So Ravi did not take any chance to repeat the same words what his mother said, because everybody could hear what his mother said. Even the beggar could hear what his mother said. The beggar sat up and sighed. The beggar was sitting, he just sat up and just sighed. I will go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. Okay. So he was just leaning against the tree, So he just sat straight and said, okay, don't worry, I'll be going away. I'll go. I'll just take some rest under the tree for some time. The sun is so hot. The tar has melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. So he said, I will go away. I will not stay here. Please give me some time to take rest under your neem tree, because the sun is very hot and the tar road is very hot due to the heat. So my feet are already blistered. Blistered means bubbles on the skin from the burns are rubbing. He got some boils on his feet. So he said, I cannot walk on the tar road because it is very hot. The sun is very hot outside. The tar road, it will be, because of the sun heat, it became very hot. So I got some boils on my feet. I cannot walk on the road. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. He stretched his leg and showed him the blisters which are there on his sole bare feet. So this is why I cannot go now. Just I'll take some rest under the tree and then I will go away, he said. So children, we'll just discuss the rest of the lesson in the next session, children.